So you want to make a YouTube video, but you don't know where to start. Well, let me walk you through the process of how I go about making a YouTube video from beginning to end. I will be giving you guys a very high-level view of how I go about planning, shooting, and then of course publishing my YouTube videos. So without further ado, let's just hop into it. Alright, so things are about to get really meta here. So I'm going to walk you through how I made this video on how to make YouTube videos. So first part of the process is pre-production. Before you turn on any camera, you have to know what you're going to be filming. It could be a really simple idea or it could be a really complex idea. In this case, it's a talking head video, so it's really simple. And then there are a few ways you can prepare for filming such a video. You can A, script the video where you have everyone's lines and moments written down so that you know how it's going to come out, or you can do an outline. And outlines I prefer because they are just bullet points that you follow that keep you on track of the subject in which you are talking about, but they do not have the strict vocabulary or structure that a script has, because personally, I'm not too good at memorizing and then performing it for the camera. But of course, use whichever method is best for you. If you like scripts, maybe you can put it even on a teleprompter if you have that device for your camera. And then of course, PowerPoint is really useful even for note cards, but I like to just do it on my phone. I even write in Google Docs so that I have all my files available to me so long as I have internet. But yeah, make sure you have a structure to your video. What I like to do is hook, intro, topic 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z, go on as many topics as you need. And then of course, wrap up and an outro. And that's about it. I don't really complicate it much more than that. And you shall see that in this video itself. Now that you've planned your video out, it is time to shoot the video. These days, you can film on your smartphone. In fact, I highly recommend just filming on an Android or an iPhone because the cameras are really strong, the mics work really well, and you can even do the post-production like editing and uploading from them directly, so you don't even have to mess with a fancy computer, fancy editing programs, or anything like that. But of course, if you do have a DSLR like I do right now, feel free to take advantage of it. Just make sure that you have somewhere that is quiet so that you don't have too many distractions, one, or noisy environment, because that also can mess with the quality of the video. And if you are familiar with camera settings, make sure you're running them optimally. I'll run through just a few of my settings right now. First up, I like to have my shutter speed double my frame rate, which follows the 180-degree rule. And all that does is basically allow for the most natural looking motion blur. So I like to film in 24 frames per second. So if I double that, that's 48. But on cameras, especially this one at least, it does not have 1/48. It only has 150. So I just round up to that. That's my shutter speed. And I have a really nice lens. So the aperture is actually at 3.5. The lowest it can go is 2.8. This just allows for the most light to come in. And then it also allows for that shallow depth of field that you see where I'm separated from the background based off of the blurriness and the distance I am from it. Lastly, make sure your ISO is as low as possible. The lower the better because the less grainy the footage is, but sometimes you can't control the lighting, and in this case I'm using the sunlight from outside to light me, and it seems to be just strong enough, so I left it at 400. And if you have lights, use them, because then you allow yourself to use the lowest ISO and keep a really nice crisp image. And then lastly, composition when you're shooting. Just understand the rule of thirds. Just imagine two lines vertically that split the image into three, and then the same two lines horizontally splitting the image into three. And what you realize is that the intersections are where most people's eyes are drawn to. This is why photographers and videographers offset the subject who is speaking. But in this case, since it's a talking head video, I like being centered. Center of frame establishes authority and allows me to be the main focus since I am talking to you guys. But of course, I can have titles, images, and other graphics pop in front of me at any moment so that it's not just a boring frame of just me talking. And then lastly, audio. As I previously said, iPhone, Android is fine, but if you have a lavalier mic, feel free to use that. That's really useful. That's what I'm using here. You can hear it. And then of course, I also have a shotgun mic on top of my camera, just so that if the lavalier fails, I have a second audio recording for backup. And really quick pro tip, when you're shooting your video, don't be afraid to take as many takes as possible. You may stumble over your words, you might get shy in front of the camera the first time, and often we tend to ramble a lot, especially if we're not running off of a script. And so if you say something and it didn't come out right, or just fell off, or you don't think it was the best version of how you could have done it, give yourself a little moment to breathe. Think about how you want to say it and deliver it, and then do it again. Do this as many times as you need, because in post-production, we're going to just take the best takes and stitch them together so that we have a really enjoyable video for our audience. No one's going to know, no one's going to care, because at the end of the day, they just want to watch something that's enjoyable. So if you can perform it as many times as you need to get it to that level of quality that you would like, then just go for it. And now we are on to the next step, which is time to edit our video. Now that you've collected all the video and audio you're going to need for your video, it's time to stitch it together to tell a story and then publish on YouTube. You can make editing as simple or as chaotic as you'd like. Of course, the choice is yours. Stylistically, when I do talking head, I try to keep the editing to minimum. I just do enough so that whenever I bring up a point, it can be visually illustrated, or maybe have some B-roll playing so that the video just doesn't drone out, because after all, it is just one shot. But I have Adobe Premiere, and the first thing I like to do is import my footage, import my audio, create a new timeline with all the footage and audio, sync those two, and then link them. Now that my audio and video is synced up, I create a second timeline where I'm going to create my first edit. And basically, I'm going to cut up from that master sequence all the good parts that I like of my video and stitch them together so that they make sense and are in order. This is where the outline really comes in handy too, because I can look at my outline, hear what I'm saying, and then line those two up so that nothing is out of order and everything flows as according to my plan. I like to do sound design for when things pop into screen. I also like to do some transitions. I'm not super heavy on that, and maybe I should be, but for talking head videos, I keep it really simple, as you can tell. And of course, if you did this on your phone, you can edit on your phone. I think iMovie is free. Adobe Rush, like a free version, exists. CapCut is really good. That's the one I use for my TikToks. And then my friend really likes InShot. I can go into depth on these apps in another time, but just know that you want to have titles, make sure the sequence is right, make sure if you have music, you use it, maybe keep it quieter than your voice for sure, and stitch everything so that it makes sense. After all, you made the video, you know how it's going to go, so there is no wrong answer, but the more you do it, the more you're going to create a certain style that is unique to the way you make your videos. And for your last step, it is time to upload. Now on YouTube, when you create your channel, you'll have access to something known as the YouTube Studio. This is where you can upload videos, manage analytics, and of course reply to comments and many other features which I can go into in a later video. And so when you upload your video, you're going to need a really good title. You need to use as many keywords that are relevant to the video as possible. This is where keyword research really comes into play. I'm not going to go into that, but just understand that you want to have relevant keywords in the title and description so that you can pop up on top of the search list in YouTube. Just remember that YouTube is owned by Google, and Google is a search engine, and they have ultimately made YouTube a search engine as well. Clickbaity titles can work if they're not vague, so just make sure it's relevant. Fill out your description as much as possible. I find that the more descriptive you are in your description, the better. I also like to put my timestamps there. Tags are kind of like keywords because it's just another way for YouTube to organize your video, but apparently they don't play as much of a role in your search engine optimization, so don't sweat too much about the tags, just make them relevant to the video. Make sure you add the video to a playlist if it's part of a series or relevant to other videos on your channel. Please upload a thumbnail. Thumbnails are really important because they are the preview to why people would watch the video. Of course, the title is number one. If the title isn't relevant or catch them, they're not going to click through. But if the thumbnail isn't also captivating, they're not going to click through. And that is one of the highest metrics that YouTube measures on whether a video should be pushed out to other people, which is click-through rate, CTR. Then you have a bunch of other options. There's end screens, there's title cards, and all that jazz. I'm not going to go too into that, but just understand that the more of the tools in YouTube you use, the better off you're going to be, because it allows you to keep people on your channel. YouTube likes when you use all their tools, so they'll probably push it up just a little bit, and you just seem more professional. All right, and final pro tip. Once you hit publish or schedule, because you can schedule the video too, you should promote your videos. You work so hard to prepare, shoot, edit, and publish it, and you're not gonna tell anyone about it? I just think that's a wasted opportunity. Don't be shy. You believe in your content. Even if it's only people like friends and family that are watching it at first, let them give you constructive criticism. Because at the end of the day, many of us are not going to be great YouTubers day one. Some are, but not all of us. So we have to work on this craft of creating YouTube videos. And if you share it and allow people to give you constructive criticism, you'll be better for it. So don't be shy. You work so hard. Believe in the content that you put out there and promote it. And that is how you make a YouTube video in 2021, according to me. I hope this bird's eye view of the YouTube making process was useful to you guys. When I first started making YouTube videos, I actually was kind of shocked how much went into one. To be honest, I thought it was as simple as hit record, get a few good moments, edit it, publish, that's it. But there's a much bigger process that needs to be done if you're going to make quality content, such as the planning stage, then the shooting and composition stage, editing to make it flow and more interactive and not so dull, especially if it's talking head like this, forgive me, and then publishing it and making it optimized not just for the search engine, but for keywords and for your thumbnail. Thumbnails can be its own video, shooting a video can be in its own video, writing can be its own video, and to be honest, I think I will make a series on each of these steps so that you can get a better feel about what they're about. Just know that experience is the best teacher, so just give it a shot. This is a nice little outline. Hopefully this got your foot wet, dip your toes in the water a little bit, and understand that it's not that scary, but it has to be involved and you can do it if you want to. And with that, I'm gonna leave you guys to it. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you got some value out of it. Comment your thoughts down below. What should I film next? Is this a good overview of what a YouTube video is? Did you like it? And of course, subscribe for more YouTube entrepreneurial business content, because that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm honestly just a videographer type person, so I just like making videos. In any case, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.